the first episode of the Art of VIII podcast. I'm your host, Janicka Arthur, the founder and CEO of Art of VIII School of Dance. Today, I don't know if I'm really ready, to be honest. I don't know if I'm ready to have this episode. However, it is with one of my wonderful students at Art of VIII, Miss Evelyn Williams. Hello, Miss Evelyn.
Hey there. How you doing?
I am well. Thank you for joining us on today's episode, Evelyn.
I'm so excited to be here.
Lord,
we're already off to a fantastic start.
Listen, I do want to confirm, Evelyn is a lover of makeup. Girl, you look good.
Well, thank you.
Not only that, but you came on brand, and I'm here for that as well.
Listen, I love the business side of things.
Yeah,
I do.
I understand that. Well, let's go ahead and just hop on in then.
I mean, we're in it. Let's go.
We might as well, right?
Might as well.
Let's talk about it. You came to Art of VIII. Before I say that, Art of VIII is about new beginnings.
Yes.
Okay. You came to Art of VIII, and your first time at Art of VIII was for an open house at the beginning of the year. Was it at the beginning?
It was in September. It was in the fall.
The end of the year.
Yes.
That's even more entertaining for me. Tell me, what season were you in when you elected to come to Art of VIII for the first time?
So that was September of 2021. So I'm almost at 3 years.
Come on.
Okay, by the time this airs. Yes, I'm so excited. And basically, it was at the urging of my therapist to dance, to find something to do. So I've always wanted to dance. I've always been curious about dance, not in a professional way at all. And I thought, over the years, I've tried different dance classes that were more like Zumba or things like that. And it just wasn't giving enough. I was like, no, I actually want to learn how to dance. And so I was searching online, and then I think it was the night before open house, and I put a message on Instagram, and it was like, come tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And then, now you're stuck with me.
What's awesome about that lovely story, Evelyn, is I remember you sitting, I can see it like it was yesterday. You were sitting in the hallway and you were talking about you signing up for a jazz class.
Yes.
Ballet was not on your radar.
Not even a little bit.
Whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
What made you decide to take your first ballet class?
You had a ballet series 1.
Okay.
And I don't know if you had jazz at the time. And so I was like, well, I got to start somewhere. And so I was like, might as well hop on in. And I thought, well, ballet, I didn't know the dance world well, but I knew that ballet was the fundamental for a lot of dance techniques. So I thought, I'll do this for now. And then when jazz pops up, I'll do that. It's kind of like learning a language of European descent. If you learn Latin, you can learn French, Spanish, things like that. And so I thought, okay, this will be my Latin of dance, if you will. And then I'll just move on from there.
Well, I'm here for you going into or jumping out of your comfort zone and going into something you didn't know.
Well, I didn't know anything.
Right. So the first part of you even just driving up to the location. Before that, signing up for the class, my goodness, driving there, going to an open house where there are a lot of people, right? That's the first thing. Then signing up.
Yes.
That's another step. But then coming to the class.
Right. But then leaving the open house and getting hit head on by a car and totaling out my car that day. Did you know that?
Now that you mention it, I did know that.
Yeah. So I could have taken that experience and been like, oh my God, I tried something new and my car got totaled in across the street. And I'm not coming back to this, but I was like, listen, I'm in here now.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So talk to me as a new student, because we have a lot of new subscribers. I'm hoping, please go ahead and hit the like button, click that bell. And if you are interested in being a part of our Patreon community, I would totally tell you to do that to get exclusive content. Please visit us at patreon.com/artofVIII. Evelyn.
Yes.
With that being said, tell me, as a new dancer, what was that experience like being in a ballet class specifically with me?
So I will say this. I'm being in a new environment is not foreign to me. I switched careers from being an engineer to becoming a chef later in life. So I was in my late 20s when I left engineering and went into culinary school with high school. I mean, basically people who had just graduated high school. And so I've already lived that experience. So to me, this felt very similar. I mean, the difference is obviously I wasn't trying to pursue it as a career. So I kind of was comfortable, and I was like, I know what it's like to be the older student, to be in a world that I know nothing about. And I was like, and I'm just here to have fun. Like there is no goal. There's no outcome. This is just, this is something I want to do. And so there was not a lot of pressure there for me. So yeah, that's what my experience was like.
What did you learn about yourself while you were in the studio?
I won't say it started initially. I will say that I never thought of myself as a class clown until I got to Art of Eight.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I was like, who am I? You know, what is happening?
You were the student, and you are the student that would give us a nice little comical
a little
relief.
chuckle, unintentionally.
But
so that was
authentic.
Well, that is my personality.
Yes,
I'm finding.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? So for me, okay, that was surprising me. But I think it's because it was one of the few spaces, and you and I have talked about this, where it's like what I'm doing is not in service to other people. Right? Engineering, I'm working, I'm making the systems better. I'm a chef, I'm teaching, I'm cooking. Even as an artist, as a culinary artist, my art is for somebody else, right? In consulting and business, I'm helping people with their business problems and growing their business, and my output is for the benefit of other people. Art of Eight, it's all for me. Right? So to see that side of my personality that I have with my friends, right? So it's not like I didn't know that about myself, but I was like, I'm really cutting up in front of strangers.
Right.
Consistently. And I can't reel it in, even when I try. I can't do it.
I'm so happy that you feel comfortable.
And that's probably what it is.
True self.
Yeah.
In the space.
I don't have to perform. Even though it's dance, so that's probably a bit of a oxymoron, right?
Right.
I'm not trying to perform. I don't want to perform. You know, when I'm Chef Evelyn, when I'm, consultant, this, that, I'm on. And it's like, even though I'm dancing, I get to shut my brain off, if that makes sense. Like, yes, I'm thinking about the moves. I'm thinking about the combinations. I'm thinking about, trying to improve. But there's an element where I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm not the most talented person in the room. I don't have to figure out what to do. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I don't want to think about it. I'll think about improving the move. But that's about as much output as you're going to get from me, right? And so that... you get to just relax, or at least for me, I get to relax into that. And so that's very enjoyable for me. So I think that more friendly, goofy side comes out because I get to turn off all those other faculties.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's good. I'm interested in diving deeper into what you meant by you saying that you were able to have something for yourself in the dance studio. I want to know, what benefits have you found for yourself within that arena?
Yeah, and we really need to talk about this because, Janicka's often berated me for not being more vocal about Art of Eight, even though I love Art of Eight. I've been there almost 3 years. I will send people there, but I'm also very quiet about it and hold it close to the chest because it is my own space. And so for me, I think, to answer your question, what have I learned about myself, or what are some of the intrinsic values? Stress relief. I get to move and be physically active without feeling like I have to do this. Mm-hmm. Like the physical benefits are an afterthought, right? Even the mental health benefits, even though that's maybe why I started, is an afterthought. What's happening is I'm just having a good time. Oh, and by the way, it's great. Endorphins, there's great body movement, my respiratory, I'm getting stronger, my agility is becoming better, I'm being more flexible, my strength is increasing. But more so, it's like, I'm having fun, I'm making friends, right? We talk a lot about people not having third spaces right now. Right. And so for me, it's like, oh, that's what I'm focused on. And by the way, there's 12 other things that are happening in the background versus I probably should work out, so let me go to dance class. You know what I mean? The approach is different. The feeling is different.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's really, really good. I want to know from you how you transition from, I came here for jazz. I'm starting with ballet. I'm going to graduate to ballet 2 and ballet 3 and intro to intermediate.
Yes.
And now I'm in intermediate class. And I'm going to do modern and I'm going to do jazz.
And occasionally African.
And occasionally African.
And occasionally Evelyn Allure.
And occasionally Evelyn Allure. There just kept being this graduation. And I'm interested in knowing mentally, emotionally, physically, how did you graduate to those levels of continuously moving out of your comfort zone and continuously having new beginnings?
I would have to blame it on my mother.
Okay.
Okay. So growing up, people had their summers off, right? And they probably went on family vacations or, if it was spring break, they probably went on a family trip. And my mother always put me in something for my personal growth and development. Okay. So in summers, it's like, oh, you're great at math and you're in the 6th grade. I'm going to put you in a college level math course at the local community college, right? And so this could be considered great, but also it has an ugly side to it, is that I don't know if I know bounds when it comes to developing, right? That is just kind of my personality. It's like, what else can I learn? How else can I grow? Which, like I said, there's pros and cons. There's an element of you don't have to always be working on yourself. You don't have to be a project. But I think it was also the positive side is like, how far can I go in this thing that I'm not looking for a return? The only ROI I want here is joy, right? So how good am I going to let it get, right?
Right.
One day is great. What about 2? Right. 2 is great. What about 3? When I hit 4, I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like,
this might be the threshold.
You're living here and you live 45 minutes away, right? So, but that progression, I would say is based on a little bit of a childhood trauma of not knowing how to play. And so the pendulum swung to the other side. This is play. So now I'm head first. You kind of mentioned at the beginning about makeup. It's the same thing, right? Like we've talked about my makeup collection and how I only have one face, but I have enough makeup for, the U.S. Olympic teams, right? So it's because I love it. And so it's like that pendulum swung, which is, okay, I do a lot of personal growth and development, you know what I mean? Therapy, EMDR, like business stuff, coaching, consulting, I do a lot of personal development, reading the books or whatever. And then it's like, but when it's time to just play and be into the hobbies, I have that same level of intensity. Like there's no mid.
There's no mid.
We talked about this. It's like I'm either fully beat with makeup or I look homeless. Like there's no middle ground. You know what I'm saying? You've seen me in the studio.
Listen.
I look like Seeley from the 1984 Color Purple. Like we've talked about this with the Swiss and everything.
Stop it right now. Stop it, Evelyn.
Me and you must never part my key.
Stop
okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Look.
I told you. I warned you, actually.
You did warn me about this. I want to talk to you about I want to go deeper into that just a little bit because I am here for continuous personal development. I am here for you saying that I want to see what's like the next level to this 1, 2, 3. But I'm interested in also knowing because I know who's watching, right? I know who's listening. I want to know, was there at any point in that journey that you wanted to quit?
Oh, yeah. So I think it's important to know, we haven't talked about this, that I started ballet at 40.
It's necessary.
Right? I think that's an important, and with zero dance background.
Correct.
So my background growing up, I was in the band from 7th grade through sophomore year in college, right? So I was used to band competitions, state competitions, and in a very core style band growing up, and then transitioning into a HBCU style band culture, which are like two completely different animals. And so to circle back, I just wanted to put that out there. Like I started dance at 40 because I think that's important for people to know. I wasn't the youngest person in class, but I wasn't the oldest.
Right.
So that was encouraging. But yeah, there were moments when I wanted to quit. And I remember particularly, I think it was when I got into intro to intermediate, where it was evident that I'm in a room of people who have danced most of their life. And I just started 2.5 years ago or whatever the case may be. And I can't get it. right? And there have been times where I've walked out in tears. Let's be transparent.
That's what we're here for.
Right? Said very inappropriate language. And I think the thing that has brought me back was, one, I don't have to overdo it. Like when I was there 4 or 5 days a week, like it was great. Like 2 to 3 days is probably ideal for me. But I was like, this doesn't have to be a project. This doesn't have to be personal growth and development. It can just be fun. And I think when I let go of the idea of like, I have to master it versus just experience it.
That's good.
Right? That I don't have to master this skill. There's nothing writing on this, right? I could just go, I'm just in class today and I'm just going to do what we're doing today. And then that's the goal. Right. And I can't say that when I had that epiphany, it stuck. It's like a pendulum, right? So sometimes I have to remind myself, you're here because you want to be here. And it's okay to have a hobby that you enjoy enough that you care that much about it. But at the same time, remember, this is also a hobby.
Very good.
So that's kind of like the ebb and flow of that.
I thought it was necessary to like bring that up in this podcast because yes, I do know that journey for you.
Yes.
But what I want to do is give students grace in this season, wherever you are, that it's okay and that is a normal process to then question if you continue or if you stop. That is a thing. It is a point in your growth as a dancer where you feel like you're not progressing in the speed in which you want to progress. Those are really necessary conversations to have because in the normal traditional dance world, like excellence is the expectation.
Very similar to the chef world or engineering world, which is like you're either the best or you don't exist.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the space at Art of VIII.
Well, that's not life.
And it's not life.
And I also want to say that some of those times where I just was like, F it, I quit, and I'm out in the hallway. I mean, I came back within reasonable time. Some of it had nothing to do with dance. I was just having a bad day or a week or a month. Right. And it's just like, oh, this is supposed to be fun today, but my mind is somewhere else. And so now I can't get this combination and I'm frustrated because this is supposed to be my fun place. What's really happening is I need to process what's happening over here. Right. And just let it move through my body. And so, yeah, all of it wasn't necessarily dance related, but it came out, kind of maybe a little somatic movement type. That's vibe, Yes. I'm not a therapist, so I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to stay in my lane.
Yes. What would you tell someone that's interested in starting a dance class in their 40s?
Girl, get in there. You need to listen. If you're in your 40s, let me pull this mic closer. Honey, you need to move, okay? And I do not subscribe to the belief that the body breaks down the older that you get. I subscribe to the belief that the body breaks down when you don't take care of it, regardless. I actually believe that you can get healthier as you age. So I'm not saying that as you're 40 now and your body is gonna start aching and you better start moving. I'm saying if you want to do it, if you've had a journey, anything similar to mine, by the time you get in your 40s, you really don't care what other people think.
That part.
Right? And you're like, you know what? I've tried enough things of what I shoulda, coulda, woulda. What do I want to do? Right? What is something that I'm going to enjoy? What is something that is just for me that doesn't benefit anybody else? And I think at least for me and some of my friends, by the time you hit your 40s, we need that in abundance.
Yes.
Right? And so I'm very ferocious about it, right? Like I'm super protective of that space. And so I was like, girl, try it. And if you don't like it, try something else. Right. Or it may not be that particular class or it may not be that particular instructor or it may not be that particular style. So, just try it. What's the worst that could happen? You might actually like it.
You might actually like it. Right.
Shocker.
What about... One question I do have for you is I want to know what is the one surprising thing that you gained from class that you didn't expect?
What's the one surprising thing that I gained from class that I did not expect? That's a great question because I feel like I'm very self-reflective. I journal a lot. I talk to myself a lot. That could be the only child in me. let me think about that. Something that I gained in class. Because I feel like I've gained a lot that we kind of talked about, like all those intrinsic benefits. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broker. It really is. This is just for me. That is so important to me in this phase of my life. I'm not trying to get a grade to get a job. I'm not trying to impress a teacher. I'm not trying to, get another client. I'm not trying, like, it's really like, how many spaces am I not playing a role in somebody else's life? I'm not a daughter when I'm in class. I'm not a friend. Right. I'm not a coach. I'm not a consultant. I'm not anything. I'm not any role. I'm just Evelyn, which is why I don't like people to call me Chef Evelyn in the studio.
Understood.
Understood. That was for you.
One of my last questions that I have for you.
Madam Author.
One of the last questions I have for you is a question I'm going to be asking all of my students. Do you consider yourself to be a dancer?
It depends on the day. So I would say when I first started, no. I consider myself someone who took dance classes. Okay. And I remember, I think I might have been in Series 3 for the 700th time. And I was like, I am not getting this, right? We were jumping and leaving and turning. And I was just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? My body don't want to do that yet. Right. And I remember I subscribe to the belief that your identity changes first and your actions change after that. And they align with who you believe you are or who you believe that you are not.
Can you repeat that? Because that's good.
Oh,
you do. What are we now subscribing to?
So I subscribe to the belief that your identity comes first, or your change in identity becomes first, and then your actions follow in alignment to who you believe that you are. So I remember saying to myself, as long as you consider yourself someone that's taking dance, then you will forever be in that I feel behind space. And so I was like, okay, when I come back, it was either the next day or the next week. I was like, what if I just, on my way here, just said, I'm a dancer. I may not be a professional dancer, but a dancer is somebody who dances, right? A singer is somebody who sings. Now, just because you cook don't mean you're a chef, but that's a different conversation for a different podcast. Because I have problems with that. But
did you just do an ASMR? What is that? What is it called?
ASMR.
Yeah, did you just do
a little bit?
Wow. Okay.
Listen, all the benefits for your viewers.
Thank you.
And so I decided, I was like, what if I told myself I was a dancer? And I had, like, the next class, I had one of the best classes that I ever had. And so, but it ebbs and flows, because sometimes when I'm in class, I absolutely do not feel like a dancer. I'm like, y'all are doing things that I've never seen in my life before. And my brain is like, I understand that. And my body is like, but we don't. And then some days, not even necessarily, it's not predicated on whether I can get the choreo or the move, but some days I just feel more like a dancer. Mm. And so, it ebbs and flows, but it depends on the day for me.
Thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome.
Do you have a question for me, Evelyn?
Do I? So